Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the 20-day SMA and the 21-day EMA, and note the current valuations of those targets and whether or not we can get above them. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, these moving averages, as we have noted in the past, these shorter term moving averages are not nearly as useful as the longer term moving averages we look at, like the 20-week moving average and the 21-week EMAs being our typical support in a bull market. However, when things get very bullish, we've seen many times that Bitcoin can bounce off of the 20-day or 21-day moving averages, the 20-day SMA or the 21-day EMA. We've seen this time and time again. Most recently, we saw it bounce around the level when the price went down to about $32,000 on January 12th. We've also seen this before. We saw a bounce here on November 26th through the 28th off of these levels. And our thesis has always been that holding these, if we can hold them as support, in the short term, then we typically get a fairly nice bounce. For instance, we had a nice bounce here, up about 16%, and we had a nice bounce here, up around 20%. So holding these shorter term moving averages tend to lead to nice bounces off of them in the short term. If you don't believe me, let's continue to go back. Here's another one. After a fairly bullish run, all the way down from the March dump, down to around $3,800. We went up to 10K, back down to 8,500 right off the 20-day SMA and the 21-day EMA, and we got a nice 15% bounce. So historically speaking, we tend to, if we hold it, we typically get a 15% bounce or so. However, just because we go below it, again, as we've said before, does not necessarily imply that the price has to start going down. It could indicate that the price is becoming range bound for a little while before a potential continuation up. Let me show you what I mean. So in this move here, the price of Bitcoin rallied all the way down from 3,800 up to 10K. We bounced off this level, we came back up, and then the price just went range bound for a while. And when it goes range bound, between a certain level, we're just sort of in a reaccumulation phase, if you will, rather than necessarily immediately trending bullish, where we're holding these levels every week or two. We go into this phase where the price can just trend sideways for a long time, and that's one indication of being below it is not necessarily a bad thing, because perhaps it's just an accumulation phase, and we've seen these accumulation phases in prior cycles. I mean, this one lasted 78 days, but if you scroll back, there have been other times where the price just went sideways for a long time. Here we went sideways for several weeks. In fact, here was a dump down to 570 or so, and we more or less went sideways for 80 days before continuing up. There's even longer periods. This period, we had this amazing move up, came back down, and then from this point, around 400, yes, we went all the way down to 300 and maybe up to 460, but we didn't really break out of the $400 range for 206 days. So even in a bull market, you can have these periods where things just get quiet for a while, and you might just consider it a reaccumulation phase. So just because you go below the 20-day or the 20-day SMA or the 21-day EMA does not necessarily imply that from there you have to dump. But what I will say is that it would be an important level to watch. For instance, we also did a similar type pattern over here. We held it as support, then we came back down and broke it, and we said it's not a huge deal that we're below it. It could imply that we're just accumulating for a bit before continuing on. And that's what happened. We were systematically able to move back up above it, and we pretty quickly continued the rally. Here, we held it as support, and then we broke through. And now we've been trending just below both of them for about a week. Now, what I would say to be careful of would be to, to look to see, okay, well, can we get back above these levels, or are they just going to keep hitting the price of Bitcoin back down? So for instance, the 21-day EMA currently is at 33,157. Obviously, these change every single day. And the 20-week SMA is at 34,842. So if you're watching, if you're watching Bitcoin and you see it, just coming up and it just keeps getting hit back down by these moving averages, and this trend continues, then obviously this would likely not be a good thing. Let me show you an example. So over here is a good example of what I'm talking about. So, you can see things were pretty bullish. We held this as support. We kept moving up. We broke it. And then we kept getting hit back down. Okay, and we came back up, and then we got hit back down again. And that's what ultimately led into that March capitulation, which of course was associated with other world events. So today, I would say, there's no definitive indication yet that the price has to trend down, but I think one key area to watch will be these moving averages to see if Bitcoin can get back above them. And if it can get back above them, then it would at least imply there is a decent chance that it's going back either a continuation move from this run, or it could just be going into one of those long accumulation phases where it just trends sideways for a long time. Obviously we can draw the triangle that we've shown before, and everyone and their mom has been drawing this on TradingView, and more or less show where Bitcoin, what Bitcoin has been doing, and the fact that it's been putting in lower highs. I can't even draw these that well, but it's been putting in lower highs every step of the way. And that we've more or less been bottoming around these levels. So one thing to consider is, well, in order for us to get back above the 21-day EMA, we could still be within this triangle. The other idea too is, by the time we move up, this could be right at that point, and that might be an area we'll want to look at. And by that time, maybe it'll be around 34,000. So imagine if we go back up to 34,000 and we get rejected by the 20-day SMA. I'm so used to using weeks. If we get rejected back down and then we come back down here, then we'll certainly want to keep an eye on the short-term implications of that if Bitcoin is showing weakness and cannot get back above those levels. So let's just keep an eye on it. I certainly don't think that anyone's capable of accurately and consistently predicting short-term moves. But this triangle, as I drew it, extends out until February 9th. So, and what's actually interesting? What's actually interesting about that is if you take a move from, actually we'll do another video on it. We'll do another video on this one later because it's a completely different topic. But anyways, the idea here is can we get back above these levels? If we can, if you see the price of Bitcoin moving back above, say, the 20-day SMA, like up here, if it starts to move back above it and does something like that, then I think it would be fairly bullish for Bitcoin, and not necessarily in the sense that it has to immediately go up, but at least it's broken this pattern of trending down. Okay, so that's what we're ultimately looking at here. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 110,000 subscribers. Why not? Give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Finally, we do have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. You'll get access to weekly reports, weekly videos, a risk dashboard, a Telegram alerts channel, a Telegram chat room, a strategies dashboard, premium only live streams, a lot of content there. Make sure you guys check it out, intothecryptoverse.com. We also have a lifetime deal going on for the rest of January, and the prices on the lifetime subscription will go up on February 1st. So make sure you guys check that out. You can find a link to that in the description below. That'll wrap it up for the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your alerts, and I'll see you next time. Bye.